The CDC updates its mask guidance as the Delta variant continues to spread. I'm Jonathan Seri in Atlanta. I'll have details coming up.
Mercy Hospital sees a record number of COVID hospitalizations as calls for vaccine mandates in healthcare settings intensify. I'm Zach Dodge with the story.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Abbey. A federal grand jury indicts a Kansas City man for robbing a Joplin bank last week. Authorities say 57-year-old Leland Graham robbed the Great Southern Bank last Monday. According to an affidavit, police received a tip the next day identifying Graham as the robber. Officers in Kansas City then found Graham in a car. He led them on a short chase before being caught. Graham is being charged with bank robbery. 3 escapees from the McDonald County, Missouri jail are back in custody. McDonald County Sheriff Rob Evanson says authorities captured Suntavian Thomas, David Molina, and Carmelo Burgos, all in Knoll, Missouri. Sheriff hasn't released many details, but says no one was hurt in the capture. All 3 inmates had escaped from the McDonald County Detention Center Saturday, where they had been held for violent offenses. A federal court today sentenced a Joplin man for child sex crimes. Authorities say 25-year-old Clinton Yates met a 15-year-old through a dating app and solicited sex from the minor. Yates today received a 14-year sentence with 15 years of supervised release after incarceration. Doug Cady joining us now. Felt like an oven out there today, Doug.
Yeah, super hot, super humid as well. High temperatures mainly into the mid to upper 90s officially in Joplin, 96 degrees, but our heat index 105 to 110 throughout the afternoon hours. Normal high is 91. And it looks like we got heat advisories once again for us tomorrow on the Missouri and also the Kansas side, as we're going to get right back up there as we go into the afternoon hours on Wednesday. Had a few isolated little showers earlier today. All those are pretty much gone. Any rain is really staying off to our south, but our temperature is still warm. Most of us mid 80s still after 9 o'clock. How long is this going to stick around? We're going to look at that here in a bit.
Doug, thank you. CDC is issuing new mask recommendations for vaccinated Americans as the Delta variant takes hold. This comes as the debate grows over whether to mandate vaccines. Fox News correspondent Jonathan Seri has more.
The CDC revising its mask guidance for fully vaccinated Americans today, recommending face coverings in public indoor settings in areas with high COVID-19 transmission rates. The agency also recommends indoor masking for everyone in K through 12 schools, regardless of vaccination status.
In rare occasions, some vaccinated people infected with the Delta variant after vaccination may be contagious and spread the virus to others.
The updated guidance follows decisions from some cities to reinstate mask mandates as new infections spike. The U.S. is averaging around 50,000 new infections per day, up from about 19,000 2 weeks ago. Public health officials say unvaccinated people account for about 97% of COVID-related hospitalizations.
If we ramp up the vaccine program, if we look at the UK and look at Israel, I predict that this is going to start to diminish over the next month.
Meanwhile, there's a growing debate over whether COVID-19 vaccines should be mandated since they're still awaiting full FDA approval. Department of Justice lawyers announced Monday that federal law does not prohibit public agencies or private businesses from requiring the vaccines. Some health experts predict once an FDA approval comes, more mandates will be imposed.
The safest way to do it is insist that everybody gets vaccinated. That will help prevent anybody working in a hospital spreading the virus to a patient.
The FDA says it plans to complete its reviews of the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines as quickly as possible. In Atlanta, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
Second dose of a COVID-19 vaccine is safe for people who experienced an allergic reaction after the first shot. That's according to doctors at Massachusetts General Hospital, who say about 2% of people have an allergic reaction to their first shot, like itching, hives, flushing. The majority of patients had no issues, doctors say, after their second shot. Overseas travel restrictions are going to be remaining in place amid the spread of the Delta variant. The Biden administration says it has no plans to lift restrictions on travel from the UK and more than 24 other countries. The U.S. currently bars entry for most non-U.S. citizens who have traveled to countries like Brazil, China, and India in the past 14 days. Calls for making masks mandatory in healthcare settings are intensifying. Nearly 60 healthcare organizations put out a call for vaccine requirements, something our local Mercy Hospital did earlier this month. KOAM's Zach Dodge has how Mercy's mandate has been received so far.
Surging COVID cases
We broke a new record.
hit Mercy Hospital hard.
We're discharging people and putting people right back in.
Between their hospitals in Joplin and Carthage, they currently have 78 COVID patients, the highest number they've seen yet.
2 months ago, we had 14 COVID inpatients. June 27th, we had 58, and here in July, we're at 78. And so you can just see how exponentially we have grown.
As the Delta variant continues to cause surges in cases, nearly 60 healthcare organizations are calling for the COVID vaccines to be required for workers in healthcare and long-term care settings. Shortly after that joint statement came out, the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs became the first federal agency to mandate vaccines for workers in healthcare settings. Mercy Hospital President Jeremy Drinkwitz is glad to see more agreeing that vaccines should be required in healthcare settings.
We know that it works. We see it. Of the 78 patients I have in the hospital right now, 95% of them are unvaccinated.
Earlier this month, Mercy also mandated vaccines for employees, and since then, he says they've seen quite a few workers get the vaccine.
We still have some that are trying to learn, trying to get more knowledgeable about it. There's a lot of bad information out there and a lot of untrue information that people have somehow held on to. And so I think our coworkers are walking through evaluating the truth versus the bad.
When it comes to other healthcare systems, Freeman Health System says, in part, our policy remains that we are not mandating the vaccine for our employees at this time, although we are strongly encouraging our employees and the general public to get the vaccination. In Joplin, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
We have the full joint statement from the healthcare organizations and from Freeman Health System on our website. That's KOAMnewsnow.com. Joplin city officials say their online payment option for utility bills is now operational. Credit cards can also be used again for in-person payments. Those services were unavailable for a while because of a network security incident, as it's being called, on city servers. The city says personal payment information was not compromised in the incident, and the investigation is ongoing. For more than 3 hours today, police officers testified on Capitol Hill, the same complex they helped defend more than 6 months ago. It was an emotional hearing as several shared they are still recovering from their injuries, and others recalled the emotional trauma they still endure. Some Republicans say the panel is not truly bipartisan, given Speaker Pelosi rejected 2 of the 5 Republicans that House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy had tapped for the panel. Fox News correspondent Lauren Blanchard has a story now from D.C.
I feel like I went to hell and back to protect them and the people in this room. But too many are now telling me that hell doesn't exist, or that hell actually wasn't that bad.
Officer Michael Fanone was beaten unconscious during the Capitol attack.
The indifference shown to my colleagues is disgraceful.
4 officers testifying in the first hearing of the House January 6th Select Committee.
You guys won. You guys held.
The men detailing what they went through that day.
If that turned into a firefight, we would have lost. And this was a fight we couldn't afford to lose.
Clearly still angry today, especially toward lawmakers who have since downplayed the violence.
The same people who we helped, the same people who we gave them the borrowed time to get to safety, now they're attacking us.
I need you guys to address if anyone in power had a role in this.
Across town in D.C., a handful of Republican lawmakers speaking outside the Justice Department. They want answers on the treatment of incarcerated insurrectionists.
Due process must be afforded to all Americans, period.
Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy pulled his nominations for the committee, calling the panel partisan. Currently, it's made up of 7 Democrats and 2 Republicans appointed by Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
Why is telling the truth hard? I guess in this America, it is.
The officer said they want the lawmakers to improve safety at the Capitol, saying when the fencing came down earlier this month, they lost a layer of protection. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another 4-state hero. Eugene Johnson served in the U.S. Army and U.S. Air Force from 1943 to 45. Native of Pitcher, Oklahoma, Johnson was stationed in England. He earned a Purple Heart and Air Medal. We are proud to thank and salute Eugene Johnson. He's tonight's 4-state hero. Doug Hetty's up next with a complete look at the forecast. And a bit later, Pitt State and Missouri Southern hitting the stage at MIAA Football Media Day in Kansas City. Going to hear from the two teams in sports.
Well, it turned out to be a hot and very humid day once again for us today. We've been in this stretch for about 5 or 6 days now. You can see since last Friday we've been into the 90s. Most of July pretty good. It's just been the past week or so that it has gotten kind of nasty out there, and we're going to continue to have the heat and the humidity as we go through the next several days. Great time lapse. This is Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Of course, Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri. Had the cumulus clouds, had a few isolated little showers in spots, mainly our southern counties, as we went through the afternoon hours. But as we go through the next few days, the heat, the humidity, they stick around. And because heat indices are way above 100, the times that you don't want to be outside is really from 2 p.m. until about 6 p.m. We are going to get some changes in here for the weekend. Of course, you can get my long-range forecast. That's on my month-long blog, KOAMnewsnow.com. All right, look at our temps, mainly into the mid-80s. Still, after 9 p.m., then you factor in the humidity, and we still have heat indices, which are, 95, upwards to 100 degrees, which is crazy when it's already dark out. Looking at 7th and Rangeline, currently sitting at 86. East, northeasterly winds are very light. Humidity is at about 70%. Heat advisories in effect once again tomorrow. Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, due to those high heat indices and any showers that we had popping up earlier today. These are all gone. We're going to be dry as we go through the overnight hours for us tonight. Really have to travel south before you find really any activity. So the main story for us is this huge dome of high pressure out across the central parts of the Rockies. Until this breaks down, we're going to have the heat and the humidity, and it's going to stick around for the next few days. In fact, let's go through time for us tonight. Mid-70s. We heat up through the daytime hours tomorrow. We'll stop at about 5 p.m. You can see right back up into the mid-90s for highs. Here's your forecast starting at 74, 91 by noon, high temp at 96. Very light south wind, actually pretty much near calm. Tomorrow night, we drop back into the mid-70s again. Then we do it again by the time we head into Thursday afternoon, mid-90s for highs. Plus, we got to talk about the humidity. It's going to be up there, so the way it actually feels, about 105 to 110 for us tomorrow, which is dangerous heat. And then again, 105 to 110 by the time we head into Thursday afternoon. But we are going to start to see some changes. Let's go into Friday. Still hot, still humid here, but you can see thunderstorms to our northeast. This is a front that's slowly going to work in late Saturday, Saturday night, and into Sunday, giving us pretty good chances for scattered showers, even some thunderstorms. Also on top of that, it will cool us down as we head into early next week. 96 tomorrow, 96 Thursday, 96 Friday. We're going to keep alert days all the way until we get out of the mid-90s. And then high of only 84. Next Monday, overnight lows down into lower 60s, so a pretty good switch.
Yeah, it's summertime, but it doesn't mean we have to like these temperatures.
Yeah, I mean, nobody likes it when it's this hot.
So we can still complain, right? All right, Doug.
I'm just thinking 6 months you're going to be complaining in the other
about
direction.
the cold.
Yep.
That's what we do, and you have to deal with it. Doug, thanks. President Biden met with members of the intelligence community discussing some of the most consequential issues confronting the U.S. and the world. One of the biggest challenges at the forefront, the threats from China and Russia. Fox's Madeline Rivera has the latest from Washington.
President Biden taking time Tuesday to meet with members of the intelligence community who have their hands full assessing a range of threats.
I can't make the decisions I need to make if I'm not getting the best unvarnished, unbiased judgments you can give me. I'm not looking to hear nice things. I'm looking to hear what you think to be the truth.
Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas raising the growing risks of ransomware, telling Congress during a briefing earlier in the day of a
300% increase in ransomware attacks over last year. We've seen more than $300 million in losses.
The dangers aren't only abroad, with Mayorkas warning of terror plots from people right here at home.
What we see is an increasing amount of social media traffic that is based on ideologies of hate and extremism.
All of this happening as the intelligence community digs into the origins of COVID-19. In May, the president asked them to redouble their efforts, giving them 90 days to complete the task. China has been less than cooperative with investigators, and the lab leak theory still hasn't been ruled out.
We know that the Chinese Communist Party won't release the background, the data, the facts, won't let us talk to those people that worked in that Wuhan lab.
The White House is underscoring the importance of an intelligence community that is free from political interference. It's hoping to mark a shift in tone from the Trump era, when suspicion and hostility between the White House and the intel community cut both ways. In Washington, Mallory Rivera, Fox News.
Coming up, going to check out some new cookie flavors released by Nestle. And let me tell you, it's going to put the tummy, at least, and the taste buds in a pretty good mood. Toll House is cooling things off with its latest fall and Halloween themed cookie dough. First up is limited edition Trick or Treats cookie dough. The treat contains fudge cookie with chocolate chips and festive green, purple, and orange sprinkles. Nestle will also be at delighting taste buds with its newest cinnamon roll and peanut butter and jelly flavored cookies as well. Nothing says fall quite like pumpkin spice, right? So the baked goods company is bringing back the fan favorite for another season, pumpkin spice. As Doug was saying, it's hot right now, but before you know it, it'll be time to enjoy fall cookies and caramel apples. That's one thing I was thinking about during the break. Can't forget the caramel apples. All right, 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming your way.
The Joplin School Board is set to discuss what the upcoming school year could look like in regards to the area's COVID-19 situation. I'm Bronte Sorotsky with those details.
Also, Southeast Kansas organizations celebrating the Americans with Disabilities Act. Going to check out a day that included plenty of fun. The Joplin School Board met this evening to discuss plans for the upcoming school year, and one of the biggest topics had to do with entering the fall semester safely. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky has more on what Joplin Public School students can expect this fall.
At Tuesday's Joplin School Board meeting, although there were many items up for discussion, the two biggest items had to do with the safety of returning to school this upcoming fall. Now, Joplin school students will be required to mask on school buses regardless of their vaccination status.
But the CDC has issued an order that all public transportation will fully mask, covering mouth and nose, regardless of vaccination status. And an order is different from guidance in that it carries the force of law. It is not used frequently, but when it is used, then the district has made the decision that we will follow the order.
But the biggest discussion of the night, and the one that gathered a lot of attention from the board, had to do with an incentive program aimed at getting more Joplin school staff vaccinated.
State of Missouri, Missouri Southern, our own city are some examples of entities that have already decided to incentivize the vaccine. Within our county, we're below state average in terms of vaccination, and we are very interested in making sure that all of our staff, as well as our students, are as safe as possible.
Originally, substitute teachers were included in the pool to win $2,500, but the school board decided to have them involved in the $25 offer only.
Incentive is $25 per employee, and also $25 for people that are in our substitute pool. And then a further incentive for our employees, but would not be available to our substitute pool, is also the opportunity at 4 $2,500 payments.
Which the school superintendent hopes can keep everyone healthy enough to keep in-person learning available.
Hopefully this will incentivize even more to do so and help us keep school open.
In Joplin, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
Joplin School Board also announced at the meeting that the deadline to enroll in their vaccine incentive program is going to be moved from September 2nd to September 13th. That's to give more time for people to get vaccinated. This is a rendering of additions and renovations Columbus, Kansas school district officials want to make through a new school bond. The $14 million bond, which voters will decide on next Tuesday, would increase property taxes by around $109 per $100,000 of assessed property value. That money will go towards renovating Columbus High School, adding 4 new classrooms, and adding safe rooms to Central Junior High and the high school.
I think it'll be positive. It's part of our economic development in our communities, improving schools, and Columbus has a lot of positives going on. And if we can get some housing going, I think this will strengthen our community, which will strengthen, our people and provide better opportunities for them.
If passed, construction is expected to start in November. The Skill Resource Center over in Parsons, Kansas today honored the lives of people with disabilities through a celebration of the 31st anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Skill is an organization that helps people with disabilities. The event was drive-through style. Attendees were treated to a free meal, music, prizes, and had the opportunity to get vaccinated against COVID-19.
It feels great to be a part of Skill. We help with the community, and it's amazing to help people with disabilities. And, we just all are family-oriented, and we all like to stick together.
People who got vaccinated at the events were entered into a drawing for a $200 prize. Heads up, your drivers in Crawford County, Kansas should expect delays next month on US 69 and US 69B. Starting Monday, that month is coming up already. Starting Monday, state crews are going to be resurfacing US 69 between US 400 and K47, excluding the part within Pittsburgh city limits. Workers will also be resurfacing 69B through the towns of Franklin and Arma. KDOT says the pilot car is going to direct one-lane traffic through the work zones and that drivers can expect delays of 15 minutes or less. Home prices saw record growth in May. The National Case-Shiller Index shows major metropolitan areas rose 16.6% at an annual pace. Economists say new supply hitting the market later this summer is going to help alleviate the upward pressure on prices. A bit later, one school option growing in popularity.
The grades are in and homeschools seem to be earning an A+. I'm David Spunt with more on the new shift and the way kids are being taught. That's coming up.
Well, it definitely turned out to be hot and very humid for us today, and really over about the past 5 days, but most of July, if you remember, June was kind of hot, but not this hot, but most of July, not bad. Pretty warm, mainly into the 80s, even though we had the humidity and heat indices into the 90s. It's really only been about the past 5 days that the heat has been excessive, where we are getting those heat indices well above 100 degrees, which of course definitely stinks. Here's a great time lapse. This is Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Of course, Indigo just outside of Seneca, Missouri. Cumulus clouds during the afternoon, a few little isolated little showers popping up. But still over the next few days, we got to watch the heat and the humidity. The danger times are from about 2 p.m. until 6 p.m. Those are the times that is the most hot outside. And if you don't have to be outside from 2 to 6, you don't want to. If you're doing any outdoor activities, you definitely want to do them late evening or during the morning hours. We are going to get some changes in here by the weekend, which is great. We're going to start to cool down a little bit. Of course, you can always get my long-range forecast on my month-long blog, KOAMnewsnow.com. It's still warm. Most of us are sitting into the mid-80s. We still have a heat index, 95 to 100 across the region, which is crazy. We're looking at 7th and Range Line. Currently outside, 86. Feels like 95 and it's dark. Relative humidity is checking in at about 70%. And we have heat advisories in effect once again for us tomorrow and even into Thursday, most likely Friday and Saturday as well. Had a few random little showers earlier today, mainly in our southern counties. Most of us stayed dry. Any of these that were out there have dissipated, so you have to travel south before you find really any more additional rain. And then here's the problem. Big dome of high pressure is just kind of hanging out to our west. So until it breaks down, we're going to have the heat, we're going to have the humidity. It will start to break down, though, by the time we head into the weekend, which is great. Let's step through time. For us tonight, mid-70s. Let's go through the daytime hours tomorrow. We'll stop in the afternoon. Hot, humid. I think any isolated showers mainly stay south of the region. So here's your forecast for you. We start at 74, 91 by noon, high temp at 96, and pretty much partly sunny skies throughout the entire day. Tomorrow night, much of the same, mid-70s. Thursday, much of the same, hot, humid, mid-90s for highs. So if you factor in the humidity, of course, you get the heat indices. The way it actually feels, about 105 to 110 for us tomorrow afternoon. Very similar to what we had today. Much of the same on Thursday. Heat indices 105 to 110. But let's look at the changes that are coming. Look at the showers and thunderstorms. This is Friday. This is a front that starts to sag south late Saturday, Saturday night into Sunday, and then we get cooler air, quite a bit cooler air by the time we head into early next week. 96s the next 4 days, 90 on Sunday, only 84 on Monday, which is going to be well-deserved after this pretty good stretch of hot temps.
Like you said, though, for now, it's crazy that this time of night is this
feels
hot.
like 95 degrees. Yeah, that's nasty.
Certainly feels that way here in the studio. Goodness. All right, Delcatty, thanks so much. Coming up in sports, Joplin Outlaws aiming to move on to the Mink League Championship Series. Also, Pitt State and Moso talking about the upcoming football season at MIAA Media Day. Jacob Leonard has details next.
Today is the unofficial start of the MIAA football season, with the league hosting its annual Media Day in Kansas City. Both Pittsburgh State and Missouri Southern hit the stage this morning to take questions about the upcoming season. The Pittsburgh State Gorillas are about 5 weeks away from hitting the road to face Central Missouri in their season opener.
It's a big challenge. I think we're going to find out really quick, where we stand in this conference.
The Gorillas are heading into their first full MIAA schedule under head coach Brian Wright, who was hired in December 2019.
Even more impressed with the league than what I was when I got here. A very competitive league and one that there's no weekends off.
Pittsburgh State played 4 games last fall after COVID-19 erased their conference schedule.
Even though we weren't fighting for a national championship or a conference championship, we still got to learn from this new coaching staff that we got. And I think that the players trust the coaches a lot after these 4 games, and we're excited for the upcoming season.
In addition to erasing last year's schedule, COVID-19 left some graduating seniors with a difficult choice: to move on or to return for one more year.
It's been a roller coaster for sure, especially just these last few years, obviously with everything going on. But I just love the university so much and this football team and what we stand for. And I couldn't handle the thought of looking back 20 years down the road going, what if I would have stayed that 1 year? What could we have done? So I decided to take it in my own hands and find out for myself.
The Gorillas were picked 6th in the MIAA media poll and 7th in the MIAA coaches poll released on Tuesday. But the team knows there are high expectations at Pittsburgh State every season, and they're ready to fight to meet those expectations this fall.
That's why I chose to come to Pittsburgh State, because of those expectations, because of that tradition and that history, and because of people like Zach Dickey up here that paved a way before us, really created a monster there, and it's fun to be a part of that monster. It really is, because that's what the people want, and more importantly, that's what our players want. That's what these guys came to Pittsburgh State to do, and it's fun to be around a football team that is hungry every day.
Now, Pittsburgh State opens the season on September 2nd on the road against Central Missouri. For more now on Missouri Southern, here's our own Danny Terzer.
Missouri Southern gears up for its first full season since going 2-9 2 years ago. Now it's time for a new era of Lions football under head coach Atiba Bradley.
That was one of the first things I wanted to do when I got there, was create a culture of competition. And whether it's a quarterback, whether it's a defensive back, offensive line, you'll find that the best teams in this league have competition in every position.
The Lions quickly got to work. Bradley was hired in February, and the team turned around to play its one and only spring game in March.
It was very important in an evaluation. I mean, it gave us an idea of where we were as a football team. They had gone almost a full year without any competition. And so just being able to get back out there, hit someone other than your own teammate, compete against someone other than your own teammate, I think was a good feeling for them.
We can work harder at a lot of things that we did in that game, but I know for sure that was a base that we set, and now we just have to work and build ground from there.
There is a new set of expectations.
We're just developing our standard of football, and making sure that we always meet or exceed our standard.
Bradley returns to his alma mater to reinvigorate the program.
Now, as a comeback as a coach, I'm able to see the other side of it, and I think I have a interesting perspective, and now that I can put both together and figure out a way to be more successful at Missouri Southern.
And his team is excited to see what they can make of it.
We haven't stopped talking about it since June started, since we've all been able to come together and see each other. So I know for a fact the players and the coaches are excited to see what we're about to do this season.
The Lions play their first game of the season on September 2nd against Nebraska Kearney. In Kansas City, Danny Cherzer, KOAM Sports.
Finally, a little baseball. Big one tonight for the Joplin Outlaws. They're on the road against the Sedalia Bombers. Now, the winner of this one plays in the Mink League Championship Series. That one is in the bottom of the 8th inning. Outlaws down 9-2. That's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
That's how the coronavirus pandemic caused schools to shut down almost overnight, turning students from in-person learners to virtual ones. But with standard schools reopening for in-person classes in the fall, a growing number of parents are choosing to keep their kiddos learning at home. Fox News correspondent David Spunt has more on the rise of homeschooling in America.
According to new data released by the Census Bureau, the number of households choosing to homeschool their kids has nearly doubled, increasing from 5.4% in March of 2020 to 11% in September of that year.
People are looking for options. They want a different option. They've seen a side that they don't like, you know, of other schools, of the school system in general, private and public.
And the trend may only be rising. Nikki Weris is a teacher who opened her own facility, focusing on homeschooling students in small groups. She says with standard brick and mortar schools preparing to reopen in the fall, many of the parents enrolling their kids in her program say they're better off staying there.
95% of the parents I have, they won't go back to traditional school after being here.
Meanwhile, the surge of the Delta variant is causing more officials to reconsider imposing mandatory face mask rules. And in New Jersey, it has people up in arms, with at least 20 students behind a new lawsuit aiming to prevent state leaders and school districts from requiring masks.
We still haven't seen that data show that kids are causing deaths.
Some parents fear all the back and forth is posing severe psychological impacts to their children.
These kids are petrified of taking off their masks. They think they're going to kill somebody.
Besides inconsistencies with school coronavirus policies, experts say more parents are choosing to homeschool their kids because they can better tailor the lessons to their child's specific needs. In Washington, I'm David Spunt, Fox News.
Next, got some news about a new Dexter and The Exorcist. Hollywood Nation coming your way. Love is Blind is back. Dexter sets a date, Fox Fall Show premieres, and more. Fox's Ashley Dvorkin has a look in The Hollywood Nation.
We continue to fight. Fox Fall premieres The Exorcist Resurrected and blind date updates in the Hollywood Nation.
What does our future hold?
Netflix shared a first look at the Love is Blind reunion after the altar and season 1's couples back together. The binge-watch dating series featured singles meeting in pods, then getting engaged sight unseen. After the altar debuts July 28th.
It's been a whirlwind.
Showtime announced Dexter New Blood will premiere November 7th and shared a sneak peek trailer at Comic-Con at home. Michael C. Hall's serial killer character is shown embracing a new small-town life until unexpected events bring back his dark passenger. The Exorcist is being resurrected for Peacock, according to The Hollywood Reporter, with Leslie Odom Jr. starring and Ellen Burstyn reprising her role from the original film. Universal Pictures and Peacock are rebooting the franchise with Blumhouse and Morgan Creek Productions for a planned trilogy starting October 2023. This could change my whole life. Mark the calendar for new and returning Fox Fall TV shows. Premiere dates announced include the 5th season of 911 on September 20th, followed by the premiere of the new drama The Big Leap, Our Kind of People September 21st after The Resident resumes, and the first ever Avatar singing competition Alter Ego kicking off after The Masked Singer September 22nd and 23rd. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
That's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Going to leave you with a video of a baby orangutan and its mother at a zoo in Israel. Look at that little guy. Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.